The Florida sun spilled through the windshield as the rental SUV turned onto Seaside Lane. The kids were pressed against the windows, squealing at the sight of the turquoise water. "Grandma, look! Palm trees!" Noah shouted, his freckles glowing with excitement. Ellie smiled from the passenger seat, clutching her worn leather purse. In that moment, she believed this week would heal everything. The distance, the silence, the small cracks between her and her son that had grown into quiet canyons over the years. The beach house looked like a postcard. White shiplap walls, wide porches. The ocean just steps away. Ellie had spent months saving from her pension to rent it. $3,500 gone in one click. But it was worth it, she told herself. A family vacation, a chance to feel needed again. Vanessa stepped out first in her linen jumpsuit and mirrored sunglasses, a phone already glued to her ear. She spoke fast, her tone bright and commanding. "Yes, Mom, it's stunning. You and Dad are going to love the master suite." She waved to Ellie without looking up. "Mike, grab the big luggage, okay? Kids, careful on the stairs." Ellie reached for the cooler, the one she'd packed with lemonade and sandwiches for the road, but Mike stopped her. "Mom, don't worry about that. Vanessa's got everything planned." He said it with the distracted tone of a man used to following someone else's schedule. Ellie nodded and stepped inside. The house smelled of new paint and ocean air. There were 5 bedrooms, a terrace overlooking the waves, and a kitchen large enough to host Thanksgiving. Ellie's heart swelled. "It's perfect," she whispered. Vanessa's voice drifted from the hallway. "So, Mom in the master, Dad in the second, kids in the back." Her tone sharpened. "And let her sleep on the couch." The words sliced through the air like a blade. Let her sleep on the couch. Ellie froze in the kitchen doorway, her hand gripping the edge of the counter. Did she hear that right? Vanessa didn't even say her name, just her, as if she were an afterthought, a piece of furniture. Her pulse roared in her ears. 67 years of being mother, widow, provider, all collapsed into that single humiliating sentence. She wanted to step forward, to say something. But then she saw her son walking in with the suitcases, smiling tiredly. "It's a nice place, huh, Mom?" She forced a nod. "It's beautiful." That night, while everyone toasted wine on the terrace she had paid for, Ellie stood in the kitchen under the soft hum of the refrigerator. The laughter from outside mixed with the crash of waves. She watched their reflections in the window. Vanessa's perfect smile, Mike's distracted laugh, Donna's voice on speakerphone. Ellie's own reflection looked smaller, older, almost transparent. She remembered another night, 40 years earlier, when she'd worked a double shift at the textile mill so Mike could have new shoes for school. The ache in her legs, the smell of fabric dye clinging to her hair. She'd done it all for love, for the hope that her sacrifices would mean something. Outside, Vanessa lifted her glass. To family. Ellie blinked away tears. She wanted to be happy. She wanted to belong. But in her chest, something heavy cracked open. When she turned off the kitchen light, her eyes caught a glow on the counter. Vanessa's phone, forgotten, its screen still unlocked. A chat window glimmered. Ellie hesitated, her hands trembling. She had never been the type to invade someone's privacy. But after hearing those words, "Let her sleep on the couch," privacy felt like a privilege she no longer owed. She leaned closer, her reflection ghostly in the dark glass. A preview of a message flashed across the screen. She paid for the whole house. Can you believe it? Old women like her never complain. The air left Ellie's lungs. Outside, laughter swelled again. She picked up the phone, her fingers hovering over the glowing text. Then, for the first time in years, she whispered out loud, not in fear, but in fury. "Let's see who's really sleeping easy tonight." At that moment, something inside her shifted. She wasn't just a mother anymore. She was a storm quietly gathering strength. The next morning broke with that kind of Florida light that feels too cheerful for how a heart can ache. Ellie woke early, the first one up, brewing coffee strong enough to wake the dead. She stood by the window, watching pelicans skim across the waves, pretending everything was fine, pretending she wasn't a guest in the house she'd paid for. By 7, Vanessa floated into the kitchen, glowing in her white resort robe. "Oh, Ellie, you're up early. You really don't need to fuss with breakfast. We ordered croissants from that French place downtown. Healthier for the kids." She said it with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Ellie's jaw tightened. "Croissants don't beat scrambled eggs," she murmured, but she let it go. Later, they all piled into the rental van for a trip to the old Spanish fort nearby. Vanessa had suggested Ellie stay behind. "It's a lot of walking under the sun, you know. Maybe too much for you." But Ellie insisted. She wasn't going to miss a single family moment. At the fort, she held Lily's small hand as they climbed the stone steps. "You okay, Grandma?" the girl asked. Ellie smiled through the heat. "I've been climbing stairs since before your daddy was born." Behind them, Vanessa fanned herself dramatically. "Mom," she called to Donna, "remind me next time to bring an umbrella. It's like an oven out here." Ellie ignored her. The kids' laughter was worth every drop of sweat. For a few hours, she could almost believe she still belonged. But when they returned that evening, her room was gone. Her suitcase sat neatly zipped on the guest bed, her toiletries packed, her cardigan folded on top. A new floral suitcase rested in the corner. Vanessa's cousin, Jessica, and her husband, newly arrived from Tampa. "Surprise," Vanessa announced cheerfully. "They just popped in for a night. Honeymooners. You don't mind the sofa, right? It's super comfy." Ellie stared at her. "You're giving them my room?" Vanessa shrugged, holding her wine glass like a scepter. "Oh, come on, it's just for one night. Be flexible, Ellie. Family makes sacrifices." Ellie's heart pounded. Sacrifices. Hadn't she spent her whole life making them? She opened her mouth to argue, but then saw Mike coming down the hall, exhausted, rubbing the back of his neck. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Perfect," Vanessa chirped. "Your mom's just helping us rearrange." "So thoughtful, right?" Mike smiled weakly and disappeared into their room. That night, Ellie lay awake on the sofa, the hum of the ceiling fan mixing with muffled laughter from the bedrooms upstairs. Every spring in the couch pressed into her back like a reminder of how invisible she'd become. Around 2 a.m., she heard footsteps. Vanessa's voice drifted from the kitchen, low and conspiratorial. "Yes, Linda, everything's going according to plan. She paid in full, no questions asked. 3,500 from her savings, just like that. Mike's almost convinced she's getting forgetful. In a few months, we'll have the papers ready. The house sells, the debt's gone, and we're free." Ellie's blood ran cold. Papers? Sell what house? Vanessa laughed softly. "You know these old ladies. They just want to be liked. She won't fight." Ellie pressed a trembling hand to her mouth. The woman she'd trusted, the one who smiled over dinner and called her mom, was plotting to erase her. When Vanessa finally went upstairs, Ellie rose, her legs shaking. The kitchen glowed with a faint blue light from the fridge. And there it was again. Vanessa's phone, carelessly left on the counter. Unlocked. Ellie hesitated only a second. Then she picked it up. The messages were a nightmare in plain text. "Dr. Reeves, psych eval ready. Wording suggests mild cognitive decline. Should hold in court. Blake Stanton, Escration. Once the POA is signed, husband gains full control. Asset transfer clean." And then photos. Dozens. Vanessa with a man Ellie didn't recognize. Ethan. Arms around each other in hotel rooms, wine glasses clinking. Her fingers shook as she screenshotted everything to her own phone. Each photo was another wound and another weapon. By dawn, she was sitting on the porch, watching the horizon turn gold, her old phone heavy in her hand. She didn't cry this time. She called Ruth instead. Ruth, it's Ellie. I need your help. Her friend's sleepy voice sharpened. What's wrong? I think my daughter-in-law's trying to steal my life. There was a pause. Then Ruth said calmly, then let's start by stealing her peace. Ellie looked out at the ocean, its surface glinting like armor. I've got the receipts, she said quietly. Now I just need a plan. The fourth day began deceptively calm, seagulls gliding over the surf, the smell of coffee drifting through the kitchen, the kids laughing in the pool. But beneath the postcard calm, the air was razor thin. Ellie had spent the night reviewing every screenshot she'd taken, memorizing each message, each name. Today, she decided, the masks would come off. Vanessa floated into the living room in her sun hat and glossy smile. Ellie, I was hoping to catch you before breakfast, she said, her voice syrupy sweet. There are some forms we need to sign. Just insurance updates for you. Robert asked me to handle it. Ellie looked up from the newspaper she wasn't reading. Insurance, she repeated softly. Yes, Vanessa said quickly. Nothing serious, just power of attorney forms. In case something happens, so Mike can manage things. The world's complicated these days. Ellie smiled, the kind that could be mistaken for naivete. How thoughtful. But I prefer my own lawyer to review anything I sign. I'm old-fashioned like that. For the first time all week, Vanessa's expression flickered. Your lawyer? Of course, Ellie said. He's quite good. Works Saturdays, too. Vanessa laughed nervously, then turned away to flip pancakes for the kids. But Ellie saw the tension in her shoulders. The game had begun. By mid-afternoon, the house simmered with unease. Donna avoided Ellie's eyes, and Mike busied himself packing, unaware of the storm building under his own roof. The papers Vanessa had prepared sat on the counter, clipped neatly together, waiting like bait. At sunset, Ellie called everyone to the terrace. Family meeting, she said evenly. Before we leave tomorrow, there's something important I need to clear up. The ocean stretched out in molten gold behind her. Mike sat beside her, brow furrowed. Vanessa and Donna sat across, both trying to look composed. Ellie began softly. Vanessa, you said these papers were for insurance, correct? Of course, Vanessa replied quickly. You don't want to lose your benefits, do you? Good, Ellie said, pulling a small folder from her lap. Then you won't mind if I read what they actually are. The moment stretched. The only sound was the hiss of waves below the deck. These, Ellie said clearly, are not insurance papers. They are legal documents granting full control of my house, bank accounts, and medical decisions to Mike, and by extension, to you. Mike's head jerked up. What? Vanessa's smile cracked. That's absurd, Ellie. You must be confused. Ellie slid a printed photo across the table. This is your message to Dr. Reeves, arranging a fake psychological report declaring me mentally unfit. Shall I read it out loud? Mike blinked, disbelief draining the color from his face. Vanessa, what is this? Vanessa's voice trembled. She's invading my privacy. She stole my phone. No, Ellie said calmly. You left it unlocked. That's different. She spread out the screenshots like cards in a game she'd already won. Text to the crooked lawyer. Photos with Ethan in hotel bars. A thread titled Costa Rica Plan. Each page landed with the weight of truth. Mike's hands shook. You were cheating on me? Vanessa's mask finally shattered. You don't understand. I did it for us. For our future. The debts were killing you. I was trying to save what we built. Ellie's voice cut through the chaos. By destroying me. Mike buried his face in his hands. How much debt, Vanessa? She hesitated. A few thousand. Ellie slammed another page down. 200,000. The lawyer spelled it out. You plan to sell my house to cover it. Mike looked at her, horror dawning. You lied to me. Then came Vanessa's final weapon. Her tone turned venomous. Oh, please. Like your precious son is innocent. Mike's firm has been filing fake invoices for state contracts. I have proof. If you take me down, I take him with me." Ellie's breath caught, but Mike's broken whisper was worse. "It's true, Mom. I didn't think it was illegal. My partner said everyone did it." The deck fell silent except for the wind. Vanessa straightened, sensing she'd regained power. "So, what now, Ellie? You expose me. Your son goes to jail. Choose carefully." Ellie met her eyes. For the first time, there was no fear, only clarity. "We'll confess. We'll pay it back. We'll start over, but we'll do it clean." Vanessa's laugh was hollow. "You'll lose everything." Ellie rose, the sunset fire painting her silver hair gold. "Then at least we'll lose it, honestly." Mike stood beside her, trembling but resolute. "She's right." Vanessa's voice cracked. "You'll regret this." Ellie looked out at the darkening sea. "I already regret staying silent this long." The morning after the confrontation was eerily quiet. The ocean, once bright and welcoming, looked steel gray under a bruised sky. Suitcases lined the hall like silent witnesses. The vacation was over, though no one dared say it out loud. Ellie brewed her coffee slowly, each clink of the spoon echoing in the vast silence of the kitchen. Vanessa had spent the night locked in her room. Mike hadn't slept at all. When he emerged, unshaven and pale, he looked older than his 38 years. "Mom," he said softly, standing by the counter, "I don't even know where to start." "Start with the truth," Ellie replied, sliding him a mug. "Everything else will fall into place after that." Later that week, back in Georgia, Mike walked into the district office with his lawyer and turned himself in. Ellie stood outside, gripping her worn purse, waiting under the morning drizzle. She didn't cry. She had done enough of that for a lifetime. When Mike stepped out hours later, charged but free on bail, he looked at her as if seeing her for the first time. "You were right, Mom," he said. "It's time to make it right." The fallout came swiftly. Vanessa's perfect world cracked like porcelain. The fraudulent medical reports, the forged documents, the fake insurance papers, all of it surfaced under investigation. Dr. Reeves was stripped of his license, and the slick attorney, Blake Stanton, agreed to cooperate in exchange for leniency. Vanessa, however, tried to fight. Her tears, her charm, her designer suits, they failed her now. The evidence Ellie had preserved was airtight. When the court announced a 5-year sentence for attempted fraud and document forgery, Vanessa didn't look at Ellie, but Ellie looked at her, not with hatred, but with a calm pity that stung deeper than rage. Donna, her mother, wept quietly in the back row, whispering apologies that Ellie accepted with a nod, but no words. Some wounds didn't need salt. Silence was enough. Mike took a plea deal. 6 months in a correctional program, restitution paid in full, and a promise to testify against Vanessa's co-conspirators. It wasn't the life he had imagined, but it was a chance to rebuild one that was finally honest. When he was released, Ellie met him outside the facility. She was wearing her favorite denim jacket, the one he'd bought her for her 60th birthday. In her hands was a paper bag with 2 sandwiches and a thermos of coffee. "Come on," she said. "Let's go home." Home was her small bungalow with its pale blue shutters and front garden full of geraniums. Ruth had helped her file the new deed, one that transferred ownership directly to her grandchildren under a living trust, beyond the reach of greed. On the kitchen wall hung a simple wooden sign that read, "Peace Earned." Over time, the house filled with small laughter again. Noah and Lily spent weekends there, helping her bake banana bread, playing checkers on the porch. Mike found work as a site engineer for a local construction firm. Steady, modest, but honest. Some evenings, he'd stop by for dinner, roll up his sleeves, and fix whatever needed fixing. Ellie never said it aloud, but each visit was its own kind of forgiveness. One afternoon, Donna came by with a bouquet of supermarket daisies and trembling hands. "Eleanor," she began, voice cracking, "I didn't know what Vanessa was doing. I swear I didn't." Ellie looked at her for a long moment, then gestured toward a chair. "Sit. We don't have to dig up the past. But if you're here to help plant something better, you're welcome." That night, after everyone had gone, Ellie stood alone on the porch. The sunset washed the sky in orange and rose, the same shades as the geraniums swaying by her feet. She sipped her coffee and let the silence settle. Not heavy this time, but whole. She thought of the words that had started it all. Let her sleep on the couch. They no longer hurt. They were proof of who she used to be and how far she'd come. Now no one could decide where she slept, where she lived, or who she was. Her dignity was signed, sealed, and fully hers again. The sweetest revenge, she realized, wasn't ruining the people who wronged you. It was living so well that they could no longer touch what mattered most, your peace.